Well, hello everybody, Mike with Spray Jones coming to you with another video. If you are new to clicking on this channel and watching this content, in my channel we educate and I educate about spray foam insulation, closed cell and some open cell foam, the pitfalls, the perils, the good, the bad, the ugly, and a lot of concentration on proper installation and why things should flow and be done a certain way. So click on the like and the subscribe. Stick around for the content. I think you're going to enjoy it. Today's video, I'm going to do the 3 benefits of spray foam insulation that just everybody can understand and see the value in. The first is adhesion to the substrate. Every other product that you are going to buy, rigid board, batting, mineral fiber, even the cellulose products, they are not going to be adhered to the substrate. Now I know there's spray applied fibrous materials. Those are obviously have a glue binder in them and they are going to stick to the substrate, but the majority of the products that you are buying, cutting, forming and placing onto the substrate are not going to be adhered, and that is a major consideration. Why? Because an ASHRAE manual, that's the American Society of Heating and Cooling Engineers, has determined that as little as a 3% void between the substrate and the insulation will account for as much as a 15% reduction in the overall insulation's ability to do its job. Forget published R value and all that. We're just talking about how well British thermal units, BTUs, heat, or is it going to retain or hold back. So a 15% reduction for just as much as a 3% void, little 3% void. Most people wouldn't even think twice about a 3% void, especially when you're adhering onto concrete, irregular substrates, you've got nails, you've got bumps. It's very difficult a lot of times to get the insulation into close proximity to the substrate, and that matters. It really does. Closed cell spray foam, open cell spray foam, it's bonded. It's in tight, intimate contact. Urethane is glue, so it is a liquid foam applied glue that we are placing, and it's both mechanically and chemically adhering onto the substrate. This is great for everything: concrete, steel, wood, plastic, odd substrates of different composites. It eliminates voids between the substrates, so water coming through, air coming through, things can't form moisture and accumulate behind the substrate and drip out at the bottoms. And when you force water and air to go through your insulation instead of going around it and cheating it, you're going to have a better product, better results, and it all starts with really tenacious installation adhesion. So that's the first thing. The second point benefit of spray foam insulation is the custom liquid applied fit that you get. So this is very similar to the adhesion on number 1, adhesion to the substrate, but now we're talking about how is the product actually going to be fitted custom-wise to your substrate. You're dealing again with sheet products, prefabricated. You have to cut them, you have to form them, and you have to make them fit into what shape and space that you have, and any irregularities, any penetrations, any hindrances, whether something's blocked in your way. So many times we're being called in with open and closed cell foam to solve a problem where insulation has been the second to last thing that they have thought about. So piping is in the way, ductwork is in the way, wiring is in the way, plumbing is in the way, framing is in the way. Now you can create not too much of an obstacle with foam where we are going to be hindered on doing a good quality job, but think about it on when it's ideal for spray foam. You're not too late and you're not too early. It takes a perfect negative of the space, so we're going to place the liquid into the substrate. It's going to foam up many times. Closed cell foam is usually 25 times liquid mass, 120 times on open cell foam, and it's going to press in and take a perfect negative of that space, and thereby helping achieve that adhesion to the substrate by filling all the cracks and the crevices and the voids. You know, insulation, in order to do its job, really needs to be in contact with what it's trying to insulate with, and therefore when you put it into a corner, an edge, in a bracket, around obstacles, it's taking this perfect formed profile of that and staying then in chemical and physical adhesion to that substrate. So you're not trying to figure out how to cut a piece of rigid styrofoam and chop it up into hundreds of little pieces to get it to form around these irregularities. You just apply the liquid, which is the same as what you do with painting a room versus wallpapering, right? If you come in with a paint sprayer, you've got all these weird angles and radiuses and bulkheads and everything, you're going to be doing it triple as fast with a liquid applied sprayer and back roll as you would with wallpaper cutting and forming and trying to get the pieces to all line up. So again, it's not just to try and get some coverage, a token amount of coverage. You want to do a very good job with your insulation, and that's why spray foam is just top-notch product. Is it's taking a custom form fit of the corner, the edge, the irregularities, and that's pretty self-evident. I think that's why most people want to seek spray foam out in the first place. Is can't you just spray some foam in there and it'll solve my problem? And the answer most of the time is yes. Third and final benefit of spray foam insulation, closed cell or open cell, is that air does not go through it, period. You can't just put fiberglass insulation into a situation and expect it to work very well without controlling the air going through it, right? We've had lots of situations where they've been tight, they've laid down a bat, they've tried to put a bit of poly up, but it's not airtight by any means, and it's cold. It is really cold. And the simple analogy of that, folks, is if you have a sweater and the wind blows through it, you're still cold. You can call that sweater insulation all you want, but it requires no air to be going through it. So if you put a windbreaker over top of your sweater, now you're actually going to be warm and stay warm, might even get sweated up. So what's going on with open and closed cell foam? It's not letting the air go through it, right? And then when you control air movement through the insulation, around the insulation, you control 98% of the water. 98% of water movement in a wall, in a ceiling, anything, a substrate of a foundation, it's going to be air coming in contact with something cold enough to condense. So if you can control the air movement through the product, you control 98% of the water. 2% is diffusion, meaning water vapor diffusing through the cellular membranes of the product. Control air movement is the number one thing. So when we get bonded to the substrate, when we take a negative of the space, perfect formed fit, and then we control the air, you've got warm installation of the insulation. Like the insulation is now going to finally do its job. You're going to be warm, you're going to be dry. You add those two things together, warm and dry, you're going to eliminate your rot, your degradation, cold, breakdown, unhappiness. Air movement through an insulation is the enemy of function. So you've got to control the air movement, and that's everything that the plastic is trying to do, right? Every other product is trying to control air movement. You take a piece of rigid styrofoam, okay, great. You can't get air through the styrofoam itself, but you can get it around the seams, right? And how it's fitting. If it's loose, baggy, if it's not fitting in intimate contact, it's not going to work very well. So closed cell, open cell foam, bonded to the substrate, taking a perfect negative, controlling the air going through it. Now you've got something that works. Okay? So I hope these three benefits are of help. If you like this kind of content, click like and subscribe and share. Leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Catch us on the next one.